Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. K-Man Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The K-Man Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2019. I trust that many of you, or all of you, had an enjoyable weekend. We know literally that is not the case, because we see that over the weekend there were few road vehicular accidents on the roads of the Cayman Islands. In one particular case, we had serious injury as well. So to say that everyone had an enjoyable weekend would be an overstatement, really. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the very busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. The phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. This morning, it is that radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paul Akal. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and trust that your faith will help to take you through these challenging times. For those who have celebrated a birthday in the past few days, we want to wish you a belated happy birthday. And for those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. And that I would like to make a personal note. Try not to do it too often on the radio, but it is my son Kareem's birthday today, so I want to wish Kareem a happy birthday as well. He's over in South Carolina. Not sure if he's listening in this morning or not as well. So we have no guests in the studio yet. At about 8:30, we should have persons in with us talking about the upcoming healthcare conference. So until then, we will have an open line, and you are invited to call in, talk about any subject that you want to discuss, ask any questions. Hopefully, we here will have the answers for you, and if we don't, we will find some way to get those answers for you as well. So many things going on in the Cayman Islands. Again, over the weekend in the what is called the Pedro area, serious 3-vehicle accident that occurred on Saturday night. That portion of the road remained closed until yesterday, probably after midday. I'm not sure what time it reopened, but I crossed there after 11 o'clock, and the road was still blocked off. Again, we're seeing more and more accidents on the roads of the Cayman Islands. It is an issue that needs to be addressed. The way we address it could vary. People speak about the fact that we have too many vehicles on the roads of the Cayman Islands. The problem there is that they're already on the roads of the Cayman Islands. So while we may address the future importation of vehicles in the island, we still have to deal with those that are here. Some people will attribute the road accidents to the quality of the driving skills that people have on the roads of the Cayman Islands. Some people may attribute it to the attitudes that drivers have on the roads of the Cayman Islands. Some people may attribute it to the road conditions, the condition of the roads in the Cayman Islands, the lighting. Some people may attribute it to the preponderance of alcohol in the Cayman Islands. We saw where the last meeting of the liquor licensing board, how many applications were being considered. We now see that alcohol can be purchased at almost any location, commercial location on the islands these days, not only at liquor stores, but at gas stations, service stations. I'm told that even in some supermarkets, to a certain extent, alcoholic beverages can be purchased as well. So we see a more and more liberal approach in the Cayman Islands to the selling of alcohol. So there are so many contributing factors towards these road accidents that one may ask the question, where do we begin? Where do we begin to address it? Some may talk about the lack of proper public transportation in the Cayman Islands. Some may talk about the fact that it seems as if the drive towards accommodating more vehicles on the roads of the Cayman Islands, as opposed to trying to solve the problem, as opposed to introducing policies that will restrict the importation of vehicles in the Cayman Islands, that may seek to policies that may also seek to restrict the importation of vehicles in the Cayman Islands to persons who are temporarily resident in the Cayman Islands, who will bring their solution to their transportation problems, but then leave the problem with the people of the Cayman Islands once they have left as well. So many areas to look at when we talk about the roads of the Cayman Islands, when we talk about accidents in the Cayman Islands. There could be so many causes, but we have to discuss them. Time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
In the late 19th century, relations with Nicaragua soared as a result of claims to territorial fishing waters around the Mosquito Banks. At its peak, roughly 30 Caymanian schooners and slopes were harvesting up to 4,000 green and hawksbill turtles each year, valued at approximately half of Caymanian exports. The Nicaraguan government in turn levied a licensing fee against foreign fishers. However, Caymanians refused to comply. In 1883, the schooner Mary Ellen was boarded by armed Nicaraguans, and Captain Ebenezer Jeanette and his crews were brutally assaulted for refusing to comply with the fees. Captain Jeanette was later compensated by the Nicaraguan government, but the British Foreign Office informed Caymanians that they had no territorial claim over the Mosquito Banks, which belong unequivocally to Nicaragua. Relations between Nicaragua and the Cayman Islands would continue to deteriorate as the Nicaraguans increased the licensing fees and methods of payment, culminating in another international showdown when 5 Caymanian vessels were seized and the entire crew subsequently imprisoned. After 6 months of investigation by the British authorities, all crew were released and no fines were levied. It would not be until 1960 that an effective treaty was signed between the two nations.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
The dreams of tomorrow stem from the seeds we sow today, whether purchasing your first parcel of land or planning for your future home. These dreams are more than possible with Cayman National by your side. Now offering 100% financing on land loans and home mortgages with only 5% down, up to 35 years or to retirement age. No commitment fee. For more information, contact a personal banker today at personal.banking@caymannational.com or call 949-4655. Plant the seeds of your future today with Cayman National. Terms and conditions apply, and the offer ends September 30th. Cayman National is pleased to advise that they will have a lending officer at their Cayman Bay locations Mondays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, seaboard.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have one caller on hold, but before I go to that caller, I'd like to extend a happy birthday greetings to Miss Lucille Seymour, who's celebrating her birthday today as well. Some of you know her as Lulu, former member of the Legislative Assembly, former teacher, former permanent secretary in the ministry as well. And, you know, I saw her yesterday when I was on my bike, but she is so modest that she didn't even mention the fact to me that that it was her birthday today. You know, we did discuss about the Scranton group probably coming on to the show at some point in time, but like I said, her modesty didn't allow her to say, well, tomorrow is my birthday. Even just saying that and hinting, well, maybe you should mention it. So again, big day for Miss Lucille Seymour. Lulu, happy birthday to you, and may you live to see many, many more. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, see?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, man. Elvis here. Yeah, I say happy birthday to Miss Lucille, too, because I had her talking about, you know, home training, like how all of her brothers could cook because they were home training.
Yes.
Mr. Edmund taught me to cook down in Matilda Corner, and he was one of the best in the business.
Oh, yes.
Top notch by far. Yeah. All right, O.C., I want to ask you a question because I know that you know, and you will give me a straight answer.
I'll try.
O.C., you was in charge of a Department of Government, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they went to the MLA, and they passed a bill saying that they can increase the fees for the immigration department. That would come to you, right? Once it gets.
You mean like a budget?
Yeah, no, well, like, but fees to be collected too.
Oh yes. They would seek input from the immigration department when they were considering increasing various fees, immigration fees, when they're seeking to raise revenue. Yes.
And then after it goes to the House and is passed and gazetted, then it's your job to implement it, to enforce it, right?
Right, to ensure that those fees are collected, yes. And I have no authority to waive any of those fees or to selectively say, well, you should pay it, but you shouldn't. Yeah.
Well, my friend, thank you very much, because I just found out something here, that fees have been implemented gazetted, but it was only enforced after 17 years, and it is affecting my business, and I see it as a conspiracy. So, Mr. O.C., you will hear about it, sir, but thank you very much, because I know that you've been there and you could tell me that's how it go. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Mr. O.C. Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, Mr. Elvis. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning, O.C., if government would allow private school children to travel on the school bus, this would alleviate a lot of traffic during morning rush hour. This is a fairly quick and low-cost solution to our traffic problem that also promotes integration of our public and private school students. Good idea as well. Well, but I wonder whether or not that cost should really fall on government, or whether or not private schools should be mandated to provide transport for students. Of course, it's not something we could mandate that the schools provide it. I believe it's going to be extremely difficult, constitutionally and otherwise, to insist that private school children must travel on school buses, though. We have so many freedoms in the Cayman Islands, and people want to ensure that government does not intrude on those freedoms, that we have to be extremely careful, with it. What we really need to do is we need to promote a culture. People have to understand that convenience for them, that which is being able to get in their car and drive their children to school, may not be the best way for the islands overall. But I think we just simply have to change the culture of about transportation in the Cayman Islands. We're getting to the top of the hour. I just want to mention the fact that I see where there's another petition being circulated in the Cayman Islands, and this one is urging the Cayman Islands government to immediately waive as a concession to Cayman 27 any regulatory fees. And the prayer on that petition says, I, the undersigned petitioner and registered voter in the Cayman Islands, direct the Cayman Islands government to put to a people-initiated referendum vote prior to December 2019 the question as to immediately waive as a concession to Cayman 27 any regulatory fees, which will preserve the only television station in the Cayman Islands that provides free local television content to tens of thousands of households, some of whom are not otherwise able to afford to pay for this service. And the prayer continues on. I don't have enough time to do so now because we've reached the top of the hour. But when we return, I will continue to dwell on this, because there are serious questions that have to be considered in relation to this. And the big question, do we now want the Cayman Islands to be ruled, to be run by referendum, which is known as direct democracy? Do we want that in the Cayman Islands? Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check is now 8 a.m. This time check is brought to you by our friends at Price Right. Live better for less.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products, from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Priced Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Access to information. Your community. News and information. Radio K-Man is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio K-Man.
With a look at Radio K-Man's morning news, I'm Dion Anglin. Over the weekend, police and other emergency services were dispatched by the 911 Communications Center to a report of a motor vehicle collision involving 3 vehicles that took place on Saturday night, September 14th at 8:30 p.m. The incident took place on Shamrock Road in the vicinity of Brightview Drive in Bordentown. One man was trapped inside his vehicle and had to be removed by the Cayman Islands Fire Service. He received serious and possibly life-threatening injuries and was transported to the hospital by the ambulance, where he is currently being treated. He is believed to be in critical condition. Another man, age 31, was arrested on suspicion of DUI. Another man, age 31, was arrested on suspicion of DUI, driving under the influence, and later bailed as the matter is currently under investigation. In other police news, just after 6:20 a.m. on Saturday, September 14th, the Joint Marine Unit, along with the Air Operations Unit, were conducting maritime border patrols on the northeast coast of Grand Cayman on board the motor vessel M. Luke when they came across a vessel with 2 men on board. The captain of the vessel caught sight of the MVM Luke and proceeded to speed off in the opposite direction. This aroused the suspicion of the officer, who then followed the vessel with emergency lights and sirens. The vessel was stopped shortly after and searched by the officers present. During the search of the vessel, 8 large bags filled with packages containing ganja were located. The estimate weight was over 400 pounds, which is believed to have a street value of 400,000 CI dollars. Both men, aged 34 of West Bay and age 35 of Georgetown, were arrested on suspicion of importation of ganja and other related offenses. The men remain in police custody pending further investigations. And in light of the recent devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian to the Bahamas, Art Nest Creative Studio will be hosting a paint and sip fundraiser tonight as a part of its Art Changes Lives charitable program. More from Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller.
For a donation of $100, patrons will have the opportunity to add their own personal touches to a large communal painting depicting the scene of a lighthouse located on the Bahamas Paradise Island with iconic Atlantis Resort in the background. The communal painting was inspired by an original piece entitled Lighthouse at Paradise Island by British painter Judy LeBlanc, who has graciously granted Art Nest permission to reference her piece for the fundraiser. Art Nest founder Christina Pineda.
We want to be able to host over 100 people for this event in order to reach our fundraising goal of $10,000 to aid in recovery and relief efforts. We will be partnering with the Red Cross to ensure that funds are legitimately applied to the recovery efforts in the Bahamas.
Canapes and complimentary bubbles will be available. The event will take place from 7 to 10 p.m. tonight. Artist Avro Ward will be on hand for tours, as well as to provide guidance for donors who want to add their own brush strokes to the large communal artwork. The finished piece will be available for raffle at the end of the event. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Carsley Fuller.
In regional news, top U.S. administration officials defend decisions not to grant temporary protected status to Bahamians fleeing destruction by Hurricane Dorian. Carib Update's Wendy Chateau has the details.
A top U.S. immigration official is standing firm on the decision by the Donald Trump administration not to grant Bahamians temporary protected status. As Bahamians seek to escape the devastation of Hurricane Dorian, Acting Director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Ken Cuccinelli, is defending the Trump administration's refusal to grant the status, arguing that the archipelago's residents can fend for themselves.
So realize that the northern 2 islands were hit. Grand Bahama has electricity and the basics back. The Bahamas is a perfectly legitimate country capable of taking care of their own.
Last week, Mark Morgan, Acting Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, said it would be appropriate for Bahamians to receive TPS in the wake of the natural disaster that has left parts of the Commonwealth in shambles. The status would allow them to temporarily relocate to the U.S. to live and work while recovery efforts continue back home.
In a related development, more than 300 people from Haitian shanty towns that were affected by Hurricane Dorian are missing. According to officials from the newly formed United Haitian Community Front, the committee is made up of religious leaders and human rights groups from the local Haitian community. Organizations backing the community include the Haitian League of Pastors and Rights Bahamas. Rights Bahamas President Stephanie St. Fleur says one of their based concerns is the number of shantytown residents who are still missing after the storm. And with a look at other news from around the world, here's the BBC.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has held his first talks with the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, ahead of the UK's planned departure from the European Union next month. The EU insisted after the talks that there was still no viable Brexit proposal from the UK. Mr Johnson maintains that the country will leave at the end of October, whether or not he agrees a departure deal. There's been a leap in global oil prices following attacks on processing facilities in Saudi Arabia on Saturday, which cut Saudi output by a half. At one point, the cost of Brent crude rose by almost 20%, the biggest jump since the Gulf War in 1990.
That'll do it for Radio Cayman's Morning News. I'm Dion Anglin.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's back. And this year, it's bigger and better than ever. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman presents PACE, the 8th annual Delano Hislop Memorial Journey for Life, 5K walk, 10K run, and introducing the all-new 15K ride event. That's right, parents, kids, young and old. Come out on Sunday, September 22nd at the all-new starting location at the all-new Jasmine Building, adjacent to Coconut Joe's parking lot. Also, participants who raise the most funds can win one of our 3 grand prizes. $250 for third place, $500 for second place, or the $1,000 grand prize. Other random prizes will be available on site. So Cayman, it's time to get active. Sign up today at caymanactive.com/pace to be a part of the 5K walk, 10K run, and the all-new 15K ride event. Sponsored in part by DART, CUC, Cayman Water Company, the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Consolidated Water, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, Water Authority Cayman, Baden Holdings, BF Insurance, Cineco, and the Maples Group.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at caymanactive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now in curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning, K-Man. Let's take a look at your latest weather. Compliments of our friends at Superstitch. Present temperature 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are out of the east-northeast at 8 knots. Barometric pressure is at 1015. Relative humidity at 71.7%. Light winds and slight seas are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. And the National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on Hurricane Humberto, which at 4 a.m. was located near 29.7 north, 77.3 west, or about 760 miles west of Bermuda. Humberto is moving northeast at 7 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour. The storm poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. Forecast for today, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index of 105. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Later tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. We're at a low tide. High tide is coming up at 10:32 this morning. It's going to be low at 4:20 this afternoon. High at 10:12 tonight. For tomorrow, low tide is at 4:45 a.m. High at 11:11 a.m. Low at 4:51 p.m. and high at 10:38 p.m. Sunset this evening is at 6:26. Sunrise for Tuesday morning at 6:14. And the outlook is for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning. That's your latest weather brought to you by Superstitch.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Superstitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Superstitch. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadena Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
We at The Wharf have the only multi-purpose conference room in Cayman, providing high-speed internet and all state-of-the-art audio and visual, and are now open and ready for your meetings and events. Multiple wireless microphones and Dolby surround speakers make your presentations on the giant screen clear and interactive. Imagine your meetings with a view, a full bar and kitchen on site where all your needs are cared for, just a few steps away from the Caribbean Sea. All F&B will be customized to your preference. Call 949-2231 or email info@wharf.ky to start planning your waterfront meeting now.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Support our tourism.
Okay. Where Ezekiel is? I can't tell the last time I seen him.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you where old Heart is, because I didn't see her in a long time.
It's okay. She pack up her bags and she gone England, my dear. Claim she gone looking work an opportunity.
Brown Ezekiel gone to England to do the same thing, looking work.
Some Caymanians claiming they can't find work here at home, so they're packing up and running to cool Britannia.
Well, that is why we need that new cruise berthing facility. It's going to bring a whole lot of jobs when they're building it and when they're running it day by day by day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. First, they're going to have all kind of construction jobs, and then they're going to need more taxis, more tour guides, more craft vendors, more people working in the shops, more of all kind of jobs. Look here, the thing going to be a major source of employment for Caymanians.
I am sure then both Ezekiel and Old Heart can land a good job doing good work because of this new cruise berthing facility.
Brownick, get on the telephone, call Ezekiel and Old Heart, tell them plenty of work is going to be available in Cayman. Now is our time to shine and truly be Caymankind.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning, K-Man. Once again, let's take a look at your latest traffic report. 16 minutes after 8 o'clock. Looking out there at the east-west arterial, traffic has eased up considerably, but still moving slowly, getting a little further west, just outside Kingsport Center. Traffic turning onto Lidford Pearson Highway backed up all along Crew Road, Shamrock Road. If you're heading out through South Sound, slow-moving traffic until you get into Georgetown, up Walker's Way on South Church Street. You'll experience some slow-moving traffic there as well. Getting closer to town, turning down through Agnes Way or Bobby Thompson Way onto Crew Road. Yes, slow-moving traffic there as well. Hulda Avenue, it's moving along good as you turn up North Sound Road along Elgin Avenue. That's Hulda Avenue, excuse me. And of course, along Esther Tibbetts Highway, North Sound Road. Yes, traffic heading in the northern direction, moving slowly. Godfrey Nixon Way looking okay for the while. Shedden Road a little bit busy. Eastern Avenue as well, but traffic is moving quite good. West Bay Road, similar situations. Good moving traffic. Not too bad today as you make your way into Georgetown early this morning. This traffic report brought to you by our friends at Subway.
Pizza. Everybody loves pizza. And now at Subway, you can customize your personal pizza with Subway's always fresh ingredients. Maybe you're a carnivore and want to pile your pizza with fresh pepperoni, chicken, or salami. Or for the veggie lovers, add fresh tomatoes, onions, spinach, and olives. There's so many great combinations. Pop into any of Subway's 7 locations and customize your fresh, hot pizza with all your favorite fresh ingredients. Now, with 3 locations open 24 hours. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Sometimes people leave you halfway through the wood. No one is alone.
Once upon a time, all your wishes came true, and you lived happily ever after. Or so you thought. Come see Cayman Drama Society's presentation of the musical Into the Woods.
Into the woods to grandmother's house and home before dark.
The show opens Thursday, September 12th, closes Saturday, October 5th. Tickets are selling fast. Order yours now at cds.ky.
Into the woods and out of the woods.
To be continued.
The Cayman Islands Cancer Society presents Conquering Cancer 6. Let's fight cancer together. This event will offer you information about new and innovative ways of screening, diagnosing, and treating cancer. Come and learn from the top medical professionals from leading healthcare providers from near and far. The event takes place at the Marriott Beach Resort the 21st of September. This interactive health fair is free to the public of all ages and will include free healthcare screenings for glucose level, blood pressure, BMI, and cholesterol, as well as free health food samples.
Aw, look at you, killing it at this parenting thing. Ever had a moment where you had a horrible day at work and you overindulged with alcohol? Or when you spoke out loud about how badly you needed a drink, not realizing your child was in the back seat? Parents, you have a significant influence in your children's decision to experiment with alcohol and other drugs. Let's reduce underage drinking and substance use amongst our youth. It starts with one conversation. This message is brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman. For more information, log on to ndc.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're back on now. Long break for the news, but I guess we're the victims of our own success. Everyone wants to advertise and For the Record, and of course, we have to pay the bills, and we certainly have to promote our sponsors as well. Hopefully we can work on that and spread them out a little bit more so that you, our listening and viewing audience, can also have sufficient time to participate. One of our listeners has written in and said, I totally support immediately for government to allow Cayman 27 to get back on the air and into the homes of elderly people and others who watched free TV for 27 years who sadly have no form of home entertainment. That's inhumane towards the elderly. Give the elderly back their free TV. Okay, and so this person supports it mainly because of the elderly. Now, I want to talk about referendum. And as before we went to the news, I mentioned to you the fact that there is another petition that is circulating now seeking to have government waive whatever fees are required for Cayman 27 to be able to operate. I don't know whether or not the initiators of this drive for signatures and a people-initiated referendum, whether they have consulted with the owners of Cayman 27 to see whether or not they're in support of this. I believe that there may have been arguments proffered during when Cayman 27 was due to shut down, that it really was not a commercially viable or financially viable proposal or project at that point in time. Whether or not that financial viability was affected by the fees or otherwise, I don't know. But like I said, I put the question out there: have the owners, the principals of Cayman 27, been consulted in relation to this? Then I spoke about referendum, and it seems as if more and more now drive is coming towards whatever decisions are to be made. When there are decisions to be made, people are now wanting to go down the route of referendum. I will start off by saying simply the reason that we have provisions for a referendum in our Constitution were quite clear, and I have read the verbatim minutes of the constitutional negotiations in the Cayman Islands and in London on this particular subject. We know at that time that the proponents of referendum wanted it in place because of certain things that had taken place in the past, and they were on the they were not on the winning end of those arguments, and as a result of that wanted to have a way to be able to control the government to a certain extent. Now, when the shoe is on the other foot, then you start to feel the pain, as well. So what you may have argued for and you got may have come back to bite you later on. In this case, I believe that it has. But let's talk about referendum, the use of referendum, and the pros and cons. And I've done some research in relation to this, and I'll read some of these for you. Some of the advantages listed in relation to referendum, especially people-initiated referendum, is that you end up with it's like I said earlier, it is referred to as direct democracy, where referendums give the public unmediated and direct control over a policy, making sure that the public's view is clearly articulated, not distorted by those who represent them. Another advantage is political education. By widening debate on an issue, referendums create a better educated electorate who have a stronger incentive to think and act politically. And we have heard some people argue, in that regard as well, that the reason that they were seeking a referendum was so that the public could be more informed, that the public could be educated. Another advantage is listed as responsive government. Referendums make governments more responsive between elections by forcing them to listen to public opinion and allow public opinion to be expressed on a particular issue, which cannot be done during elections. Also, it reduces government power, provides a check on government power, as the government has less control over the outcome of a referendum than it does over Parliament. Citizens are protected from an over-powerful government. Another one is constitutional changes. It is appropriate that constitutional changes be approved by a public referendum as they affect the way the country is governed. so are more important than ordinary laws. They are more important than ordinary laws. This ensures any newly created public body has democratic legitimacy. Now, let's look at some of the disadvantages of a referendum. 1, ill-informed decisions. The general public are less informed than elected politicians and have no political experience. The public interests are therefore best protected by government, by politicians, rather than self-government. That's one of the arguments proffered. Another argument, that it weakens Parliament. Referendums undermine parliamentary sovereignty and are decisions that are not made on the basis of deliberation and debate. Also, irresponsible government. Governments are elected to govern, so should make policy decisions and be accountable for the said decisions instead of handing over responsibility to the public. Yeah, and that's why you get out there and you vote for a politician, because you feel that they're much better position to make decisions and to represent you. Otherwise, you would be doing it yourself. You would be the candidate, right? Also, another argument against referendum, that it strengthens government, that governments decide when and on what issues referendum are called. They frame the question and they dominate the publicity campaign. See that happening? This creates an automatic bias. So, by calling for a referendum, you can actually end up strengthening the government's hand. And another one is unreliable views. Referendums provide a gauge of public opinion at a given time, therefore being an unreliable guide to public interests and an inappropriate means of approving constitutional decisions that will have far-reaching long-term implications. There's another article that I found in relation to it, and first of all, they speak to the fact that referendums end up being extremely divisive, very divisive. You end up with two sides, and in many, many instances, it is an adversarial approach that is taken in that regard. But it also provides a level of political support for difficult decisions. For instance, if there is a difficult decision to make, then a referendum can solidify support for it. When a majority of the people back a political decision, it helps to create a lock on the choice of making it easier to proceed. It also creates specific points of negotiations, and it also creates a mandate to follow. Here is one that is also important, and one that the general public in the Cayman Islands need to be aware of as well. It allows for false actors to campaign for specific results. That is, referendums allow for a campaign to be started for each side of the question proposed. Campaigns provide space for false actors to misrepresent positions to the general public. Because the goal of a referendum is to provide more information to everyone, the false information offered is often believed. So you don't always want to believe everything that you hear. And here's the one that I spoke about earlier. It creates divisions. Referendums create divisions within communities, especially a narrow victory or loss. If a narrow victory or loss occurs, these divisions take time to heal, if they ever do. Sometimes they don't heal. There is one general rule for a referendum. If you call one, there needs to be a level of certainty that you will win. The pros and cons of referendums show that the political costs of those who lose are often great. So, because you have seen one group of individuals successful in obtaining the necessary signatures to trigger a people-initiated referendum, you don't want to fall into the trap that because of that, every decision that needs to be made by government has to go to a referendum. Bear in mind, you have elected representatives, members of our legislative assembly, to represent you in our legislature. Now you want to take away that parliamentary power, that parliamentary sovereignty from them, and some of them are willing to give it up as well. If they're willing to give it up, those are the ones maybe that you should be voting out of office, because they are then abdicating their responsibility to get out there and govern and to join. If you want to be able to make decisions in relation to government, then you go and you win your majority in the parliament, and then you can do that. But if you're then prepared now to abdicate your responsibilities that have been given to you by the voter to those who now are calling for referendum, then the question is, should you really be the representative as well? I know I'm going to catch some hell for that. I'll get some calls during the show or after the show, but, that is my point of view there as well. So, looking again at this whole issue of Cayman 27, the rhetorical question is, have the principals, the owners of Cayman 27 been consulted in relation to this? The government has indicated that they will do whatever, I shouldn't say whatever it takes, but they will look at filling the void that has been created as a result of free television not being accessible to some people in the Cayman Islands. Has an approach been made to government before seeking to initiate a people's-initiated referendum to see what it is that the government plans and what you can do to assist the government in implementing those plans or in supporting them in that initiative? For instance, if it requires an underwriting by government of a privately held, privately run company, and government then undertakes to underwrite the losses of that company to provide free television to the residents of the Cayman Islands, are you in support of that? Will you then support the government in that regard, or will you then later on say, well, if the government can support this particular company, underwrite their losses as a result of it, why can't they do it for company X or company Y as well? Those are serious questions that need to be considered as well. Folks, we have a guest in the studio. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will be talking about a healthcare conference here in the Cayman Islands. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
Show your support for the scuba diving and water sports industry at the 2019 International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame Gala Induction Ceremony on Friday, October 4th at the Margaritaville Beach Resort. Tickets cost $75 pre-sold or $100 at the door, so get your tickets today. Tickets are available from the offices of the Department of Tourism and the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. The International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame Gala Ceremony, Friday, October 4th. Get your tickets now.
Ray, Micah. Always a pleasure, Ray, to be back for another talk. Today's special edition of See What I Sing.
Yes, sir. They allowed us back. The topic this time is Swanee. I'm going down the Swanee River.
Swanee, not Swan Island?
No, Swanee as in the Swanee Shipping Company.
But I only know about the National Bulk Company.
No, before National Bulk, it's Swanee. A lot of Caymanians trained on Swanee.
So we can be able to know when, where, and why, and how, and who?
Hopefully, this Friday, September 20th.
See What I'm Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Let us see what I'm saying on the 20th?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Go. You ready?
Ready.
Proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
Swanee River.
Stop. Just stop.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me none other than Miss Nancy Bernard, who is the acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture, and Housing. And we're going to be talking about the 10th, I believe it is, 10th Annual Health Care Conference that will take place in the Cayman Islands. And they're... okay. I'm trying to find the right word for this motto or the theme. The theme is building on a decade of progress in the Cayman Islands. Miss Bernard, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back
good
to
morning.
For the Record.
Always a pleasure to see you and
always
to be at Radio
to
Cayman. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to
Yes.
have you. Let's tell our listening and viewing audience about this conference that is taking place when, where, and then we get into the meat of what will be discussed there.
Right. Well, this conference has been a real success story because it was 10 years ago. It started with just a couple hundred people.
Yes.
Always been held at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, which is in itself a wonderful venue. But the fact that we have such a free conference, that it's built over the last 10 years to exceed 1,000 people at the delegates count, as a brainchild of the Cayman Islands Health Services Authority, which is our hospital, and the ministry responsible for health, shows that we can be a real game changer and player in the international health arena. Not just for the region, for the Caribbean, because it's the only one of its kind, but also internationally because we have international speakers. So it's a real success story. And this is the 10th year, and so it's a huge celebration, really, as well as, like you said, the theme is innovating the future of healthcare, building on a decade of progress. Now, what that basically is, I'll tell you the dates real quick for the listeners. The dates are Thursday, September 26th to Saturday, September 28th. Now, as a kind of a problem with the success is it's all sold out already. Okay, so it's sold out pretty quickly after registration opened. When I say sold out, it's free, but it was subscribed to.
Yes.
So unfortunately, while it's, no one else can sign up to come, it's a free event, and also we're doing free live streaming live, as well as you're able to find the videos after on www.healthcareconference.ky. Okay. So for those persons who couldn't make it to register, there's always a way to see and hear and garner all the news. And the focus will be on the future of healthcare in Cayman and beyond, specifically these topics. I'm sure you've heard of them, OC. Telemedicine, robotic surgery, reverse innovation, the relationship between climate change and health, which I'd like to touch on a little bit today, and of course, disaster risk management and threats to public health. We can see what happened in Bahamas recently.
Yes.
So I'd like to really just thank mainly the Premium Plus sponsor, which helped to make this happen, is Ironshore Pharmaceuticals. The cocktail reception sponsor, that's going to be a lovely event, as well as Health City Cayman Islands. Premium sponsors are, I mentioned already, CIHSA, our hospital, Cleveland Clinic, Kelly Holding, and the Ministry for Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands, especially in particular with them would be the agriculture component, because One Health is a massive component of looking at health nowadays. And One Health is just simply looking at human, animal and environmental health all in one tripartite system. So, we have over 40 sponsors and supporters. We're anticipating about 1,000 delegates. It's a broad audience, a lot of really great speakers, which I'll cover in a little bit. And I think kudos to everybody that's been involved in this for the past 10 years.
Excellent. We will no doubt later on talk about some of the topics, but you mentioned something, and we're seeing it being played out in the Bahamas now. The whole issue, of disaster management and health situations during a disaster. We're still in the hurricane season here in the Cayman Islands as well. Can we talk about that a little?
Yes, I actually watched a video by somebody representing. He was a previous member of the overseas. It was a group. Yes. It was basically a group that looked at the Caribbean region, but more globally. I can't recall his name, but he said something that really struck with me, and I went to watch the video to see what it was. And he called the Caribbean, now I don't know if these are his words or somebody else's, he called the Caribbean, because of these hurricanes, paradise in a death zone, which was pretty succinct. Now, what's happening is, right, it's really important for us, the young people, the members of the public, all of us who have roles in ministries and departments that can mitigate and adapt to climate change. But it's important not to lose hope, OC. Like with anything, if humankind feels that we still have hope and technologies and engineering that we can mitigate these climate change events. But the reality is, you mentioned Bahamas, the storms are becoming more frequent. And much greater.
Yes.
We can see it anecdotally, we can see it by the data that is provided to us by the states and our local weather authority. So yes, that is a direct result of the climate change, the sea level warming and rising as well. And so we need to be very, very focused on what we do about that as a country, but also what we can do to mitigate it. And like I said, I really want us to focus on, this is where STEM is really important, the scientific, technological, engineering focus for children today at school, because, and crossing over into education here, but these are the things that they can study to try and stem what's happening in the globe. It's really important now. Yeah, and just touching on that, we're talking about climate change as well, not just disasters, but other things to do with climate change. A lot of people, in the old days, we would think about, there's a classic picture of a polar bear sitting on a very small little ice floe, and we would think about climate change as an environmental problem. Now, with the ministry that I'm at, which is the minister is the Honourable Dwayne Seymour, that actually has the unique opportunity because we have both health and environment.
Yes.
And it's actually, climate change is an equal problem with health. as to environment. And that's not readily apparent, and that's just coming out in the past sort of few years. And so what that means is basically there's a lot of health events, heat stroke, heart events, asthma, respiratory illnesses that are exacerbated because of higher temperatures and because of other things in the air and, all the other things that go along with climate change. So we held something in April here in Cayman to do with climate change and health. So we're really, really focused on dusting off the draft climate change policy that we had for Cayman Islands and including all sections. So it was very much environmental in the past. Now we're looking at health, infrastructure, and all the other aspects across all the ministries.
Excellent, excellent. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Ms. Nancy Bernard, the Acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture, and Housing will continue. So please stay tuned. Don't change that dial. Lots of important things to talk about, not only the conference itself, but some of the things that will be discussed there. One of the things that we also want to talk about, and I'm not sure that we have this on the agenda, but I know that it is important for people, is healthcare costs in the Cayman Islands as well. Affordable healthcare. We see that being a huge issue in the Democratic primary debates in the U.S., something that could be easily debated here in the Cayman Islands as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home, so there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Miss Nancy Bernard, who is the Acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Health. Not just health, but other subjects, but to ensure that we make use of the time that we have. I won't, read out all of the other subjects that you're responsible for. But we're talking about the upcoming 10th annual healthcare conference here in the Cayman Islands, with their theme being innovating the future of healthcare, building on a decade of progress in the Cayman Islands. Can we talk a little bit about the speakers, those persons who will be participating in the conference as well, including your minister?
Yes, of course. So our minister, Honourable Dwayne Seymour, is very, very happy to welcome all these speakers and to there's a few of them that have come back and there's a few that are new, but I'll just go over the highlights of the highlights. Basically, Dr. James Hospitalis has been here before. He's the former Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency. He'll be looking backwards and forwards to public health challenges and also focusing on non-communicable diseases and the interaction with big business. Now, I just want to pause there on NCDs, non-communicable diseases.
Yes.
That is a number one risk and killer for Caribbean region. So in the old days it used to be, communicable diseases. Now we've got a handle of that, although some of those are coming back.
Yes.
We need to really focus on lifestyle choices and every person's sort of control over themselves based on diet and healthy living and exercise and so on. But anyway, that should be interesting. And then our main sponsor, Ironshore, their speaker is Dr. Lewis Warrington, who will be representing a decade of advancements and innovations in the treatment of psychiatric conditions. How far have we come is the title of that one. And then the main closing one is Professor Virginia Murray, who's head of Global Disaster Risk Reduction at Public Health England. We work very closely with PHE, Public Health England. We have a very good relationship with them at the ministry. And she'll be speaking on disaster risk management through a health lens, how we can build a more resilient future. So once again, I'd really like to thank our sponsors, because without them, Ironshore Pharmaceuticals, the Premium Plus, cocktail sponsor Health City, the premium sponsors CIHSA, Health Services Authority, Cleveland Clinic, Kelly Holding, and the ministry responsible for agriculture. This would not have been brought to us, as well as all the 40 other smaller exhibitors and sponsors.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about healthcare costs in the Cayman Islands and whether or not any of the speakers will be talking about healthcare costs in general, maybe not specific to the Cayman Islands, despite the fact that we know that there are concerns here about the costs of healthcare. And there are many people who look at, for instance, Health City today. I hear people talk about the fact that even certain types of medicines and stuff, people are finding it more affordable when they're patients there as opposed to being patients elsewhere, because they have access to more affordable medicines as well.
So healthcare costs, I think they are going to draw in on a general sense, perhaps in some of the talks on that. It is a very major issue, not just for the Cayman Islands, but basically most countries around the world, because health is your grounding. That's you start off with health and then you work up to education and shelter and food and everything else. Health and food actually are sort of your grounding. If you don't have that, it's hard to eke out a good living. However, the minister, as I mentioned, Honourable Dwayne Seymour, he has been leading the charge and very, very concerned with the sustainability of healthcare costs for the Cayman Islands for a long time. And I don't want to preempt what he would like to come and tell the people of the Cayman Islands on that, but there are plans afoot for a more comprehensive review of the entire system. However, I will say that while costs are concerned, they're not so much out of line with other countries in the world. So it's not as if the Cayman Islands is that far out in terms of cost. It's something where we have to look at it, but very comprehensively. And there's not much more I can say today without, as I said, having the Honourable Minister with me. But it is being noted and it's being reviewed. And all of these things you mentioned pharmaceuticals, all of that is on the table.
Okay.
So perhaps we can book a time to come back and talk to you about that.
Yes. Back to the conference itself.
Right, so the conference has always offered certificates of participation, the CME certificates that healthcare practitioners require. They have a health check station sponsored by Cineco, which we're very grateful for their ongoing support. And again, flu shots. Now, flu shots are always free at our Health Service Authority. Again, we have a very good healthcare system. So it's a question of looking at various aspects of it, such as cost, increasing primary healthcare, and so on. But the actual structure and support in the Cayman Islands is incredible. So is legislation and regulation around healthcare. That's something we can all be very confident in and happy about. But yeah, although the event is sold out in terms of we've got more registrants than we can't take any more on. Again, I think the thing to drive home today for people listening who really want to see it, if it's live streaming at the same time on September 26th to September 28th, they can look at healthcareconference.ky. If they can't get around to doing it on the day and they don't want to see it live, they can check back in at any time at that same website address and look at the videos and see what they're interested in, whether it's telemedicine, robotic surgery, reverse innovation, climate change and health if they have concerns on that, and disaster risk management and threats to public health.
Sounds good. And will there be a reception before, welcoming reception or anything before the
we have a cocktail.
Yes,
we have a cocktail reception sponsor, Health City Cayman Islands, and that starts on the Thursday. And then we have, that's the Thursday night, which kicks off the whole event. And then it's all day Friday and in the morning on Saturday. And we close around midday on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of participation as an audience as well as participation as speakers, how much is local, how much is overseas? Because we constantly see, people from overseas coming every year,
right?
Coming to this conference. What is the level of interest from an overseas standpoint?
The level of interest is good, especially from our regional neighbours, the international regional ones. However, I would say I can't tell you percentages, but it's really largely local. But then again, as the conference grows, there's a really, really robust steering committee. Now we have meetings every week leading up to the event and every 2 weeks beforehand, held at the offices of the Health Services Authority. And we look at all parameters such as, the cost, the breakout sessions, how the conference has evolved over time. And I guess what I would do is encourage anyone listening who is involved in any other event or subject in the Cayman Islands that, this is something that we can look at developing something to go on the regional stage and the international stage, even though it's hosted in the Cayman Islands. We don't always have to go abroad for that kind of information. We can garner it and nurture it right here in Cayman.
We certainly can. We've reached the top of the hour, 9 o'clock headline news. Not as long as the 8 o'clock news, so don't worry too much. Just headline news. We will continue after headline news. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record with Miss Nancy Bernard. We'll continue after headline news.
Ray. Always a pleasure, Ray, to be back for another talk. Today's special edition of See What I'm Saying.
Yes, sir. They allowed us back. The topic this time is Swanee. I'm going down the Swanee River.
Swanee, not Swan Island?
No, Swanee as in the Swanee Shipping Company.
But I only know about the National Bulk Company.
No, before National Bulk, it's Swanee. A lot of Caymanians trained on Swanee.
So we'll be able to know when, where, and why, and how, and who?
Hopefully, this Friday, September 20th.
Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Let us see what I'm saying on the 20th.
Let's do it. Go. You ready?
Ready.
Proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
Swanee River.
Stop. Just stop.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Saturday, November 2nd.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Michael Moore's Trust Advisory Group is returning to Grand Cayman for a second year to host a seminar for the Cayman Islands private wealth professionals that will look at issues that are likely to be a concern for trustees in the future. The conference is taking place at the Kimpton on September 24th and is free. 3 frontrunners in the race to become Democratic Party candidate for U.S. presidential campaign have clashed over health care at the party's third debate. The debate in Houston, Texas, was the first time Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders faced off on stage. Former Texas lawmaker Beto O'Rourke drew some of the biggest applause in an impassioned plea for gun control. The winner is likely to face President Donald Trump, the Republican Party favorite in November 2020 polls. John Bercow has vowed, quote, creativity in Parliament if Boris Johnson ignores a law designed to stop a no-deal Brexit. The Commons Speaker also said in a speech that the only possible Brexit was one backed by MPs. A new law passed before the suspension of Parliament forces the PM to seek a delay until January 31st, 2020, unless a deal or no-deal exit is approved by MPs by October 29th. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Ms. Nancy Bernard, the Acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Health. We're talking about the 10th Annual Health Care Conference here in the Cayman Islands with the theme Innovating the Future of Healthcare, Building on a Decade of Progress. I want to remind you that our phone lines are open in the event that you want to call in. If you have any questions, any comments in relation to this conference or about healthcare in general that Ms. Bernard may be able to answer, please call in. Our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord@candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261 as well. Back to Ms. Bernard.
Thanks, O.C. Yes, I would recommend that people look online on healthcareconference.ky. We're also going to be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for those who want shorter shots of things or more visual. But basically, it's a great way to keep up with what's going on, what's really, really topical, what's current today. And you can look at the live streaming event or you can look at a video anytime at your comfort after from your own home or office. But it's really exciting to have these experts, the local experts speaking and also ones from abroad as well. And again, thanks to all of our sponsors, in particular Ironshore Pharmaceuticals, our Premium Plus, Health City Cayman Islands, CIHSA, Cleveland Clinic, Kelly Holding and the Ministry responsible for agriculture.
Okay, and anything more that you want to talk about the speakers? And so I see Miss Carol Appleyard is going to be one of the speakers as well. I formerly involved with Syndico, was it here in Cayman
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that, but
yes. I don't want to go down that route just to make sure. But the name ring does ring a bell. Ring a bell.
Yes.
Dr. Jason Markle, Cento Schultz Clinic, Dr. Troy Gatcliffe, Miami Cancer Institute, which is part of Baptist Health South Florida as well. So, many speakers. Many topics. Now, again, you've said that the conference itself has already been fully subscribed.
Correct.
To, right? Despite the fact that it is a free conference, you still have to register for it, and it has been fully subscribed.
We're expecting up to 1,000 delegates. Again, the CI Health Service Authority team comes out in full-fledged to help be volunteers with all the various parameters on the day and the days of the event. But I think it's a really fantastic way as well for the government health services and the statutory authority that is the HSA to really interweave with our private health practitioners here in Cayman, and the ones that you mentioned, some of whom are coming to speak. It's a really nice meeting of the minds for us to get together, public, private, and patients. So again, one of my favourite memories is an elderly couple who would be coming every year. I think about a year ago the wife passed away, and I'm wondering if I'll see her husband, there alone. Yes. And they wouldn't miss it, they wouldn't miss getting their numbers, all the testing done, and seeing what, the people that they see every single year. It's a building year upon year event. So it's good for various things. It's good for people who want to get their CMAs, who are in the healthcare industry. It's good for patients. It's good for lay people who want to just keep an eye on what's happening in the industry.
Now, you spoke about testing, so that there's some sort of like free tests and stuff like that will be done at the conference itself as well. Let's talk about some of those activities.
Cineco is having some of those. The normal, you can... they have a health check station, so I guess it's really important to look at your blood sugar levels and your blood pressure and so on, because these are some of the non-communicable diseases we talked about, NCDs, which are so prevalent here in the Cayman Islands and in the Caribbean region. And also the flu shots should be available as well from HSA. Okay. And these are all things which are readily available in so many of our, not just our healthcare providers on a day-to-day basis, but I'm going to segue off a little bit off of this event to one that's coming up next week, which is has been a brainchild of the Cancer Society, and it's the health fair at the Marriott. So I figure they're probably coming in to talk to you or other media, but again, there's so many opportunities in Cayman for people to know what's going on with their health and really take control of it and steer it in the right way.
And people really need to take advantage of of those opportunities as well.
Absolutely.
It's extremely and so many organizations also that bring awareness now to some of the issues that we face. For instance, I think next weekend they will have the PACE walk, run, cycle event again that helps to bring awareness to colon cancer.
Absolutely. And then this last weekend there was the DG 5K in the BRAC, and on the 29th of September it's going to be here in Grand Cayman, and that's been many, many years as well, and that's all focusing on mental health, in particular of our more vulnerable communities. So again, Cayman has always been the most amazing, all-encompassing. You feel like you're in a giant hammock. It's just such a great community in terms of people coming together to support each other, and we just need to keep focusing on that and all the positive that's happening and all the good that's happening as we support each other. So the DG5K, just to segue off into that, is supporting the Alex Panton Foundation, the Crisis Centre, and it's really sort of it's been many, many years, and every year the Deputy Governor will select certain groups to go to look at. It's also supporting the Special Needs Foundation.
That's correct.
And so every year it'll be like a theme. This year we figured, okay, the most vulnerable and with mental health. And so DG selected those 3 charities. And they're doing so much. Each of them is doing so much with so little, because most of them are non-profits as well.
Okay. If you were to make a statement about the future of healthcare in the Cayman Islands, and I'm speaking to you, from your viewpoint, from your standpoint, where you stand within the ministry, and what you've seen, based on your experience, the future of healthcare in the Cayman Islands, where is it headed?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would couch that my viewpoint is very closely aligned with the Minister, the Honourable Dwayne Seymour, because he is extremely focused on moving forward with improving. Well, we've already got outstanding healthcare provision legislation and regulations, but the sustainability of healthcare cost-wise and other things. But I would say it really is all about now, the whole thrust is focused on self-governing and self-evaluating and improvement. So it's having the patient, which is a real cornerstone of primary healthcare. It's having the patient be mindful of his or her own health numbers for blood sugar, pressure and other things, and really focusing on what he or she can do to make his or her life better with diet, with exercise, with meditation, yoga, whatever the methodology they use. Even hanging out with friends is a way to improve one's mental health. So to distill it down into a sentence, I would say things are happening. The Ministry of Health is going to be very, very busy in the next few months, focusing on what Honourable Minister Dwayne Seymour wants to do to improve healthcare sustainability cost-wise, but also to really encourage primary healthcare, the one-on-one relationship between the doctor and his or her patient, and enabling that person to be in full control of their healthcare provision, and also on the periphery of that, being supported by technology and all the amazing non-profits that we have here. We can make it happen.
Okay. And as far as the healthcare providers in the Cayman Islands, the primary providers like doctors and stuff, can we talk about that a little bit? And we see more and more Caymanians now coming into the field of medicine, more and more doctors and other specialists as well. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I absolutely love to see that. Dr. Delroy Jefferson at the Cayman Islands HSA is absolutely key with that program. More and more we've been seeing, I mean, obviously doctors coming back, but also being trained and coming back to Cayman, which is exactly what we want to see, but also the nurses. So again, for the last few years, UCCI is to be credited along with others at the HSA for developing the nursing program. So again, if we're developing these, and these are regional countries that send their people here to be trained to be nurses. So as I say, we punch far above our weight belt in terms of what we do in Cayman, and we always have across many, many fields. And so it's having the confidence to know that and to continue. So we've done it with doctors, with medicine now. We've done it with nurses. You know, let's keep an eye out. What else can we do it with? So in the holistic sense, a lot of people are doing it with various issues, like, for instance, Enterprise City, looking at that avenue. I always say bring it back to what else can Cayman do in the regional and international markets for any of our fields. So I know I'm on here talking about healthcare, but it's so exciting because we have the power of community and the power of a really high GDP and support system from the UK that we can actually continue to be world leaders in various areas if we start to grow it from here.
Okay. Now, when on the last segment of the show, the last 15 minutes, we'll switch back to the conference itself, but there are some topics that our listeners are interested in as well, and one of them has written in relation to the opioid epidemic in the U.S. and whether or not any discussions at the conference will take place on the whole issue of the opioid epidemic and alerting the people in the Cayman Islands to that as well. So what we'll do is we'll take the commercial break, and when we return, we will talk about that, and we will revert back to the conference itself again for the last 15 minutes. So, folks, still interesting things to talk about here on For the Record with Ms. Nancy Bernard, the Acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Health. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way, initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
Work will soon launch Jobs Cayman, an online system that allows registered users to access job postings created by registered employers. This system offers a better approach to facilitate Caymanians in finding employment and allows employers to search for qualified and skilled Caymanians who are seeking employment. For more information on the registration process and what you need to register, visit www.worc.ky. Work, leading the pursuit of full Caymanian employment and economic prosperity for all through service excellence.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Ms. Nancy Bernard, who's the acting chief officer in the Ministry of Health. We're talking about the 10th annual healthcare conference here in the Cayman Islands with the theme, Innovating the Future of Healthcare, Building on a Decade of Progress in the Cayman Islands. That healthcare conference is taking place on September 26 to 28. Those of you who are just hearing about it or who were planning on attending and registering, I have some bad news for you, but then I have some good news as well. So we'll give you the bad news first. The conference is already fully subscribed, despite the fact that it is a free conference. It is fully subscribed, but there are other ways for you to participate, as well. Now, one aspect of it is some free screening and things of that nature. Now, whether or not that is limited to the participants, or I can get into my car and park at the Ritz-Carlton and come in and get sneak a quick free screening and then leave again.
That's limited to the participants. I'll be watching out for you, see. That's limited to the participants because of space allowances at the Ritz-Carlton.
Understood,
but again, others can go to the health fair that's this coming weekend.
Okay.
On the it's the 21st. That's next weekend? So at the
23rd is
at the Marriott.
Next Sunday is the 23rd.
Yeah.
So Saturday the 22nd, Friday the 21st.
Right. So there's basically another health fair at the Marriott, which is again open to the public, and more persons can go to that. This is more of a lot more of sort of speakers coming from regional, overseas, and local, speaking with a small component of the testing and the free flu shots and so on. So I'll be keeping an eye out for you.
Now, we did have that question about opioid crisis and whether or not that would be discussed at the conference.
Well, while it's not directly discussed, because right now it's not on the slate of what the speakers are talking about. The really good thing about the meeting of brains at these kind of conferences is it'll be a fabulous, nourishing ground for all the healthcare providers and patients and everybody else to have dialogue about it, a network outside of sessions. So I'm sure it'll come up and be dialogued on there, but not specifically as one of the speaking topics.
Sure. Okay.
But again, I must note we do have a full-time chief medical officer, which is a massive boon to the ministry responsible for health. His name is Dr. John Lee. Some people will be familiar with him from when he was the pain management doctor in the Cayman Islands for the HSA, and it's a real pleasure to work with him as a colleague. But also he's really leading the charge with the Minister, the Honourable Dwayne Seymour, on bringing to fruition a lot that has actually just he's literally raking through some of the Auditor General reports, a couple of them in particular over the last few years, and going, where can we do better? What is it that we still need to achieve as a country for healthcare? And he's got he's keeping us all hopping. So thank you, Dr. Lee. That was a great addition to the ministry, and it's only been 4 months that he's been there. So
okay, we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning.
And good morning to Miss Bernard.
Good morning.
The way I'm calling is because I would like for you, Miss Bernard, to get my number from, I don't remember which one it is in the operating room there, in the operations room there now.
That's Paul, Mr. Paul.
Okay, Paul. Is
yes.
that a Saint Silver Fox?
Yes, him. That's him. Yes.
Yes, I'm going to leave my number. I already told her I'll leave my number with him for Miss Bernard, that she can pass that on to the counselor and the Minister for Health for some follow-ups on some issues that I had been in touch with them from earlier this year.
Okay, will do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Miss Nancy?
Okay. So again, just to wrap everything up, because I'm kind of watching the time, but we are oversubscribed to this conference. It's the 10th anniversary for the Cayman Islands National Healthcare Conference. It's a regional leader in terms of meeting of the minds and focusing on topical issues. But the best news is that even if one cannot get into the conference because it's oversubscribed with 1,000 people, at www.healthcareconference.ky, you can either look at it live streaming or at any time after the conference to look at the videos. And huge thanks to our Premium Plus sponsor, Ironshore Pharmaceuticals, which again is opening up a whole new aspect of the healthcare industry in the Cayman Islands and what we can provide as a fertile ground here. The cocktail reception sponsor, Health City Cayman Islands. Premium sponsors, the CIHSA, Cleveland Clinic, Kelly Holding, and the ministry responsible for agriculture. These are all sponsors, as well as 40 others who are exhibiting and giving smaller, more modest amounts, but together we all make it happen, and we're so looking forward to this event. It's such an excitement that happens when we all get together, and then it engenders so much idea making and work in the months to follow, and also the months leading up to it every year.
Okay, and let's take the opportunity to again mention the health fair that will take place at the Marriott on next weekend, to the extent that people want to attend that. You may not have sufficient details on that, but the mere fact that one is taking place. Of course,
yes. Yeah, there is one taking place. I would recommend people look up, and it's probably on their Facebook page, the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, and also on their website, and you can find more details on that. Yes. But they've had one for a couple of years now, and again, it's free, and they get stacks of people, and it's all about ensuring, and that's the weekend before this conference. Yes. It's all about ensuring that people are super engaged and in control of their own health destiny. And health is wealth. Health is the grounder. Once you have it, you know what it's like to have a common cold, OC, and how that waylays you. It's the grounder, and of course food, nutrition, shelter, and so on. And then you go up the chain. But, without it, and so it's so important. So important. And so all of these amazing fairs and conferences and organizations and NGOs are just too many to mention, but they keep coming and they keep developing. But if I always encourage people, if anyone, and this comes from being a teacher as well, if anyone out there is listening and has an idea and go, oh, there isn't this yet in Cayman, speak to me or speak to someone else who's in a ministry or department in that field, and we can kind of make it happen.
Now, as far as the transitioning from prevention, going from curing to prevention, where are we in that battle, in that change? You spoke earlier about
primary
lifestyle events. You spoke about communicable diseases and whatnot. Where are we now, as far as preventing as opposed to focusing on cure?
On the end.
Yes.
OC, I think that our people are to be commended on really taking health into their own hands, and we've all come a long way. I speak as someone who does slip the occasional tub of Häagen-Dazs into which is a lot of sugar and a lot of fat.
Yes, I do the same.
We all, so it's doing that in minimal levels. But to answer your question, I think although we've done really well as a country and as people, I think we have a long way to go. because I think it's going to take multi-stakeholder engagement right across all the ministries. For example, education and looking at the obesity crisis with children. You're looking at infrastructure. Are we getting enough bike lanes? Are we getting enough sidewalks so that persons can walk and ride safely to where they have to go in parks and so on? So this really takes a wide stakeholder engagement from the public and private sector across the board. So I'm not quite sure where the needle falls between prevention and curing after the fact. I think we could go a long way still with prevention, but that's part of the excitement of what it is that this industry is doing now, because I think if you haven't heard about prevention and you haven't heard about taking care of your own health, you haven't really been listening or watching. So I think we're getting there. It's just going to take a little bit more time and engagement.
Okay. And despite the fact that the conference is fully subscribed, we'll still provide some details to our listening and viewing audience, in particular, how they can follow the conference if they can't be there personally, in person.
Absolutely. Just look on www.healthcareconference.ky and also Facebook at CI Healthcare Conference, Instagram and Twitter. But I find Facebook, it shows images of things actually there and the speakers and so on. But all of them will have the video streaming available online, but also after the conference as well, so that you can actually kind of be there although you're not there. So every year we build upon the successes of the year before, thanks to the CEO of HSA, Lizette Howell, her team, and our ministry, and the Minister, the Honourable Dwayne Seymour. We're looking forward to another fantastic year, and so proud of the Cayman Islands for being able to host this game changer for our region.
Anything special in terms of being done, because it's 10 years? Usually, you use those 10-year increments, then go to 25 years, and then probably 50 years or whatever. Anything special for the 10-year event?
Yes, there are. And again, I can't say too much about it, but there are definitely going to be some very special events taking place, which I'm sure the media will report on afterwards.
Yes. Well, I want to wish you all the best of success again, and want to say that our doors are open here at Radio Cayman, and in particular for the record, for the ministry to come on whenever you want to highlight, because health is important, but all of the other subjects that fall under your ministry as well. Housing, big, huge issue in relation to housing, not to mention the environment, and that is, always in the forefront, and especially now with the whole port issue and everything as well. Culture, that's a part of us, our culture, as well. So you have an awesome responsibility when it comes to being accountable to the people of the Cayman Islands for a lot of those things subjects, that highly impact their lives and their existence.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much, Elsie.
Folks, please stay tuned. When we return, we're going to have an open line again for you, and I have some emails in relation to some of the things that were mentioned earlier as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore,
The Cayman Islands Cancer Society presents Conquering Cancer 6. Let's fight cancer together. This event will offer you information about new and innovative ways of screening, diagnosing, and treating cancer. Come and learn from the top medical professionals from leading healthcare providers from near and far. The event takes place at the Marriott Beach Resort the 21st of September. This interactive health fair is free to the public of all ages and will include free healthcare screenings for glucose level, blood pressure, BMI, and cholesterol, as well as free health food samples.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's back. And this year, it's bigger and better than ever. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman presents PACE, the 8th annual Delano Hislop Memorial Journey for Life, 5K walk, 10K run, and introducing the all-new 15K ride event. That's right, parents, kids, young and old. Come out on Sunday, September 22nd at the all-new starting location at the all-new Jasmine Building, adjacent to Coconut Joe's parking lot. Also, participants who raise the most funds can win one of our 3 grand prizes, $250 for third place, $500 for second place, or the $1,000 grand prize. Other random prizes will be available on site. So Cayman, it's time to get active. Sign up today at caymanactive.com/pace to be a part of the 5K walk, 10K run, and the all-new 15K ride event. Sponsored in part by DART, CUC, Cayman Water Company, the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Consolidated Water, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, Water Authority Cayman, Baden Holdings, BF Insurance, Cineco, and the Maples Group.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind our listeners and our viewers that we have an open line now, no guests in the studio. So if you have any questions, comments, observations, please feel free to call. Toll-free number 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. The one listener has written in and said, we are all tuned into your show about our petition. Thanks for discussing our petition right now on your show. And that is a petition for government to waive all of the regulatory fees in relation to Cayman 27 so that they may continue with their free broadcasting that sometimes is the only outlet or that some of our residents here in the Cayman Islands, especially older Caymanians, Caymanians who are financially challenged as well and rely on free television. So they're calling on the government to waive all regulatory fees in that regard. They also point out that Off-Reg has stated that the closure of Cayman 27 has sadly affected over 31,000 homes here in the Cayman Islands as well. So they are seeking signatures for a people-initiated referendum in the Cayman Islands in relation to the waiver of fees. The question is whether or not we need to go down the route of a people's-initiated referendum for this to occur. Whether or not, other than publicly calling on the government to do something about it, whether or not approaches have been made to the government otherwise, behind the scenes, because sometimes you find that you get more better results or the results that you want by working behind the scenes rather than going public. And sometimes you use going public as the last resort, the measure of last resort, once other attempts have failed. So seeking the government's input, we know that the government, the Premier has said that the government will be looking into this situation to see what provisions can be put in place to replace what has been lost by the loss of or by the closure of Cayman 27. Now, I know that some members of the public have already expressed concern about that and have mentioned the fact that if it is the government's intention to substitute government TV for what was produced by Cayman 27, that they're not necessarily acceptable to that proposition, because some believe that government TV is only there only there to promote the government's agenda and nothing else. There is no reason why the remit of government TV, for that remit to be expanded, it will mean additional staff, additional resources, possibly more persons who have experience in the broadcast industry. But we do have that. I wouldn't want government TV to poach anyone from Radio Cayman, but we have our news director here at Radio Cayman, Ms. April Cummins, whose forte has been in television broadcast. And what better way to promote the Cayman Islands and to give you news about the Cayman Islands than hearing it from your own Caymanian people, as opposed to some television stations that you hear these strange foreign accents on there. That reminds me. This test of the emergency broadcast system. I know it's only a test that has been running, but the voice that is running on that about this is an emergency broadcast, whatever, why can't that voice be Caymanian? Now, you're broadcasting mainly to Caymanians about an emergency situation. Shouldn't it be a voice that all Caymanians and shouldn't it be a dialect? I'm not sure if I'm using the right word there, whether an accent. Shouldn't it be an accent that all Caymanians can understand if it is an emergency? I know, like I said, it's only a test, but why is it? Or maybe this is a fixture of that test where this is a commercial that has been designed overseas for this just to promote this emergency test. But when we go live with it, please ensure that it is a Caymanian accent there so that people of the Cayman Islands can understand, because that emergency notice is being directed to them. Yes, we do have tourists on the island as well. But if it is a British accent, I'm not sure that the Americans are likely to understand the British accent, the Americans who are tourists. And if it's an American accent, I'm not sure that they're going to understand, the English people who are here as tourists are going to understand as well. But the majority of people residing on these islands are Cayman Islands residents or Caymanians. That voice needs to be Caymanian. We're not dealing with Alexa now. We're dealing with emergency, and that voice needs to be Caymanian. It is extremely important for that. Now, getting back to the whole issue of free television in the Cayman Islands. At one point in time, the whole issue of broadcast in the Cayman Islands. I believe there was an intention at one point in time. As a matter of fact, I believe that there may have been a studio that was being set up or may have been set up right here in the building that houses Radio Cayman for television broadcasts to take place as well. Nothing wrong if you want the government to waive fees and to subsidize a private entity to provide free television. Why the government cannot establish something similar to a statutory authority where it is funded by the government of the Cayman Islands, but control over the content that is produced will rest with a board or with a managing director and not the government. Now, there are those of you who will argue and say that as long as the government holds the purse strings, then they will have the say and determine it. That is not necessarily the case. That does not necessarily have to be the case. We see many instances of organizations that are funded by government, but at the same time have their own autonomy and are able to operate outside of government with little or no government influence at all. In this case, we would want no government influence. But what a way to get Caymanians rehired, to get them back into the industry if government were to create that themselves so that free TV can be provided by an entity, something similar to the British broadcasting services that they have in the United Kingdom that is supported publicly by public funds, but provides such a vital service to the community in the United Kingdom as well. That, to me, would be an ideal option. So we know that the Premier has said the government will be looking into it. I believe that needs to be done sooner rather than later. We do not know at this point in time where the government is at with it, but it is quite obvious that if 31,000 persons in the Cayman Islands or households in the Cayman Islands have been affected by this, that we need to ensure that it is replaced, and it is replaced as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, then we probably need to look at the programming at government TV to ensure that it has a wider scope to it for those doubters who believe that government TV is there simply to promote the government's agenda and no other agenda as well. We're going to take our last commercial break. When we return, the phone lines will continue to be open. I know that some of you who like to wait until 5 minutes before 10 o'clock, and then you complain that I haven't given you a whole lot of time to talk, but we can only go until 10 o'clock. So when we return, if you're planning on calling, please do so then. If not, no problem. Lots more that I have that I can talk about as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
I'm going to Vant Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vant Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vant's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Looking for a new car? We can give you a zillion reasons to switch to electric. They cost you less to run. They helps to save the planet. They are free charging stations all across Grand Cayman. Low maintenance needs. They're quiet both inside and out. And they're the future. But most of all, the government has reduced custom duties on electric cars. For cars valued below $30,000, you now don't have to pay anything. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure Facebook page for more information on electric cars. The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Saturday, November 2nd.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. And For the Record, phone lines are still open briefly. We have about 13 minutes left as well. One of our listeners has written in and said, OC, when you just asked if we want government to start underwriting businesses, they already do that. And I will not argue with that person. I will not contest the fact that government may already be doing that. What I would say to that, though, that if it is being done now, well, let me craft it this way. Government does have programs out there to assist persons when they're starting businesses and things of that nature, and that is good when it is spread out there, when it is open to everyone. When they're selective about the businesses that they will support or that they will underwrite, then that is another question altogether. But this writer is of the view that government is already underwriting certain companies. Now, there is one thing that I want to share with you from our famous Tradewinds newspaper. Again, credit goes to Miss Joellen Thompson for providing me with copies of this Tradewinds newspaper. And this particular one is the 14th of September, 1967. We're all talking about tourism in the Cayman Islands, and in 1967, that time, tourism was just starting to pick up in the Cayman Islands. In this article, it's headlined, On Government Invitation, Top Tourism Advisor Lectures Government on the Tourist Trade, warns of pitfalls. And the article reads, the Cayman Islands last week got useful expert advice on how to develop its budding tourism trade. Mr. Victor Chenea, the man who helped mold the Bahamas into the popular tourist rendezvous that it is today, that it is today, My French is not that good. Flew to Georgetown last Thursday at the invitation of the government of the Cayman Islands and gave hints on how to streamline the country's vital tourism industry. Mr. Chenia was invited by the Tourism Board, the Hotel Association, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Legislative Assembly, and was guest of His Honor the Administrator, Mr. John Cumber and Mrs. Cumber at Government House during his 3-day stay. He left from the Owen Roberts Airport Saturday morning. He's quoted as saying, Mr. Cumber is quoted as saying, we've got very useful advice. His visit was very worthwhile. Mr. Chinea cited as one of the foremost necessities at the moment was for a government to immediately establish more tourist board offices in the United States. An office in Canada would also result in an immense upswing in Cayman's tourist trade, Mr. Chinea observed. Given a resume of how the Bahamas tourist industry was built on a solid foundation, Mr. Chinea said this country had immense potentialities, but such potential needs to be tapped as soon as possible. So we had great potential, but we needed to tap it. While lauding the wonderful start the country's tourism industry has made, the tourism advisor warned of the numerous pitfalls into which the industry could plunge. He urged government to stay clear of such traps which would bring about catastrophic results and thwart their fine efforts. Unfortunately, this article does not go on to say what those pitfalls were. So I don't know if that was a secret that was kept then by those who he advised and wasn't discussed or shared with the public, but certainly it would be interesting to know what those pitfalls were. Now, we know that the big question that is being asked in the Cayman Islands these days, and there's a book, and if you want, you can certainly Google it as well, Tourism for Whom. The big question that is being asked in the Cayman Islands these days, for whom are we developing the Cayman Islands? Are we developing it for our indigenous Caymanians, for the residents of the Cayman Islands, or are we developing it for others? Huge question that hasn't necessarily been answered in the Cayman Islands. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Just fine. Thank you, sir. Just quickly before I say a few things I have time to say, is that reminds me of that famous little paragraph by Mr. Ian Fleming 10 years before that article, 1957, Mr. Fleming was April, when he said tourism will certainly be developed and the mosquitoes will be controlled and roads will be metalled or, asphalted and macadamized. And he said the staunch, cheerful Caymanians, the nicest feature of these islands, will be little affected by all the traffic until the modern pirates arrive. So it's not the islands he's really talking about changing. It is the people. So maybe that is what they had in mind when they were sort of reticent or careful about moving forward. With regards to health thing, I just wondered if we are going to try to accept that we need to try to do radiation here because many patients, as you know now, are being treated by radiation, which is much more pinpoint than the chemotherapy. And we know we're still doing a lot of chemo, but radiation is a thing that's being used a lot because it's tremendously localized and pinpointed the type of particles that they use. And if they allow it, it would save a lot of money by going off island for residents, as we know, being used very successfully.
Okay.
With regards to another referendum, that's all we need now.
And you're going to see more and more of them coming.
I don't know if people seem to grasp what I've said and others have said, even Emily is. You cannot really govern a country by referendum. Our representatives are not called referendum representatives. They're called elected representatives because they're elected by the people to try to run the country, ask questions, put forward bills, and make laws to run the country. If we're going to run it by referendum, we would not need our elected representatives. We would simply have the deputy governor, who is in charge of all civil service, and the senior civil servants to run the country.
Precisely.
And the governor would receive orders from Her Majesty's government in the United Kingdom to run Her Majesty's government here. It can be solved with much simpler things than that. They can pressure the other companies to do local TV. They could probably utilize the same people there at Cayman 27, the Caymanian portion of it. There are alternatives and make a TV company out of it, and if they want, and utilize some, as you suggested, with the Cayman's own people, or incorporate the Cayman and that into one thing or whatever. But, we cannot take this issue of referendum as a frivolous form of entertainment, as many people seem to take elections too. It's a very divisive thing when it comes to deciding yes or no on what is perceived to be an issue of national importance. And it takes up the government's time. Here we are trying to focus on health. They can't right now, really. They have to concentrate on coming up with a question for referendum to organize it, to campaign for it. So does the other side too, campaigning just like elections, politics. And it takes away from the seriousness of other things that need to be accomplished by the government, that they want to accomplish in their term that they have been elected to try to accomplish. And so have the others on the other side of the bench. They've been elected to ask questions, press on the government, do things, seek answers to questions. We don't have to run about holding a referendum whether you want to make condensed milk illegal or take it off the shelf or not. Things like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Mr. O.C., because it might cause diabetes, so forth. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I'll listen on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller, for that. One of our listeners has come back to me again and has said, okay, here we go. Says, a growing feeling in Cayman is that government is ignoring Caymanians, which in turn forces people to remind those forgetful politicians that the only reason they have a job is because of the very people who they are ignoring. And another one came back speaking about the government underwriting businesses, and they had pointed out earlier that government has already does that, and they go on to say that government already gives away concessions to every foreign business to waive all fees in order to make their investment viable, and those concessions don't impact the daily lives of our elders, as well. I think that it was a general statement there that isn't necessarily 100% correct. the government gives concessions to every foreign business. They also give concessions to Caymanians who are involved in businesses as well. But that's the case. Folks, we've reached the 10 o'clock hour. I'm sorry about that. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because you always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dweeny Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. Join me on Wednesday, where we should have the Honorable D. Ezard Miller in the studio with us as well. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.